T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review, and today we're going to be looking at the McDonald's Transformers Prime toys. But before I get started, I got a lot of questions on what this book that I showed last review was. This is the Warman's Transformers Field Guide, also by Mark Bellomo. I don't know how you say your name. If you watch, I'm sorry. When you open it up, it just kind of shows you for most characters their bot mode and their alt mode, but it doesn't really show any accessories aside from what they're holding, so it's a lot harder to figure out. And all it says at the bottom is what their name is, the price you can look to pay, and even that's not really terribly accurate comparatively. Now on Amazon, actually, they're selling this for like $50 or $70. Its retail price is only 13 bucks, so don't spend too much for it. It's not worth $70 at all. It doesn't tell anything aside from the name. So please don't spend $70 on this. If you want to spend money on one, get this Transformers Identification and Price Guide with the awesome Optimus Prime holographic or whatever, I forget what you call these things, front cover. Now, the difference with this one is, while it does show you the same things, you know, alt mode, bot mode, it also shows you all the accessories and gives the bios and stuff in the yellow box, as well as their stats, and then a little write-up on each of these, even telling you like what the cars that they came from. This one is well worth 30 or 40 bucks. Its price is 25. I think I paid 30 for it. I would even say it's worth up to like 40 or so. It's a really good book if you're a G1 collector. I highly recommend it. Yeah, so that's that. Let's get on to the Transformers Prime toys. And as you notice, the background's a little different. I keep trying a bunch of things so I can try to eliminate shadows, and obviously it's impossible. But you know, I'm trying to eliminate them as best I can here. I picked up some new lights. I got more lights coming to try. We'll see what happens. But it's a lot better, I think. I mean, you're still getting some shadow, but not much. Anyway, these are the McDonald's Transformers Prime toys. And to be honest, I'm a lot more disappointed with these than some of the other Transformers toys that came from McDonald's. Now, they are Happy Meal toys, so you really can't expect too much. But one thing that I was expecting is that all these toys, you know, they all kind of show little gimmicks and stuff, and they're really not, there's no real transformation places. So I thought you were just going to stand them up like those RPMs, and there's going to be the bot underneath, but there's not. Instead, it's just a huge recess, and then the Transformers copyrights. So essentially what you got here, and how they should be marketed, as Stealth Force characters. So this is Knockout. And Knockout's got some pretty good paint job on them. I mean, obviously not everything is filled in. You could use some tail lights, but overall it's pretty good. And since the body's cast is one color, I really like it versus the deluxe version of Knockout. Now, what this guy's little gimmick is you push his bumper here, and some blades or something pop out. I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to be. It's a translucent material, and it's got some tech detailing, but it's almost impossible to figure out what they're intending it to be. So that's Knockout. Moving on to the one that surprises me the most is Bumblebee. And I rather like, you know, how this vehicle mode works. Again, still needs some extra paint detailing, but it's not bad. It's a pretty nice representation of Bumblebee, and pretty much everything is there if you wanted to take the time to paint it, which I might do because these are just cheap little toys, so who cares. Now, the big thing with this is you would think you'd push the engine because it looks like a separate piece, but it's not. What you do is you actually push the back of the car, and it's going to pop up this little missile launcher, which surprises me because these are McDonald's toys for real little kids. So you take his obscenely large missile, and if you push the Autobot logo, it does fire out, and it fires out with some fair force. So I'm kind of surprised that this comes as a McDonald's toy. I don't know, maybe they do that now, but it surprised me nonetheless. There's no place to store this missile on Bumblebee, so chances are, if you're getting this and it's not sealed, If you're finding it, you know, years down the road, probably has no missile. The missile is also hollow, but it is a nice translucent material there. That's Bumblebee. Let's go to Breakdown. Now Breakdown's pretty cool because we don't have a Breakdown represented in any toy form yet. We know, well, some people have gotten Knockout already. We've seen Voyager pictures of Breakdowns, but this is really the first Breakdown you can own. And he's okay. I mean, he rolls pretty nice. He's going to be a real fun toy for a kid to be playing outside. He's got a really nice molded in and painted Decepticon logo. But on the side, I guess he's a little bit boring, but whatever. Now his Stealth Force gimmick here is you spin the tire here and a big cannon pops out the top. And that's it. There's no LED or anything like that. That is the entirety of his gimmick. Again, it's interesting. It is our first representation of Breakdown, so what can you do? It's also a McDonald's toy. We'll go to Bulkhead. Bulkhead is, you know, a fairly solid representation. He does have these discs, so obviously he's going to have some kind of disc launching gimmick, as you can imagine. Pretty solid all around. He feels probably the most weighty of the crew. The only thing that kind of stinks is the way the front end is broken up by the placement for the discs. So what you'll do, and let's show you the discs. You got the Autobot logo on one side and the Transformers Prime logo on the other. There's 3 of them. So all you do is slide these on in here, and when you pull back on the roof here, he launches them out, though he tends to launch them all at one time. Again, you know, this is probably, I don't know, it's not so bad. It's, to me, the missile launcher is a little worse, but you still have something that, you know, young kids are going to be playing with that, you know, they're going to fling towards their eyes. Now, granted, I had all these things when things went like this, and I never lost an eye when I was little, but I'm more speaking on the sense of safety reasons that they seem to err on. I mean, when Optimus Prime has to have his smokestacks cut down because kids are going to put them in their eyes, or so they think, I'm kind of just surprised at, you know, some of the gimmicks they've come up with. So, that's Bulkhead. Let's move on to, let me put these in here so I don't lose them. Let's move on to Starscream, and we'll move our centers of attention. This is Starscream. He's got a really nice looking jet mode. I really have no faults with the jet mode. It doesn't really do anything, but it's a jet, so how hard is it to play with a jet? Now, he's got this purple Decepticon button here, and what happens, and this is just amazing, just prepare yourself, ready? Wow. Yeah, the cockpit opens up and there's like 2 little missiles in there, and they don't shoot or anything, and they're extremely hard to see. But yeah, that is Starscream. There's really nothing there except push the button and the missiles pop up. Moving on to Ratchet, who I find to be one of the more disappointing of these figures, just because he's got so little paintwork done. I mean, this is all plastic. Everything on here is all molded plastic. Maybe that makes the cost, but there's, you know, it could have been nice to have some kind of side detailing or something, or even just the painted Autobot logo. I guess he uses more colors than Breakdown here, but I don't know, he just really feels lacking, and he just looks like he's incomplete comparatively. He's obviously the ambulance wheels roll, and what happens here is you push back on this and it's just gonna fall down. So what you have to do once you push back is you hit the little Autobot logo and a little cannon pops out for him. That's it. Nothing fancy, and it barely stays, you know, above his roof line, so technically he's gonna shoot the top of his roof off. Again, just a little something. And if you can hit the Autobot logo when it's inside, and it will just deploy popped out, but it doesn't help spring it up or anything. Moving on to Megatron here. He's that crazy Cybertronian alt mode. No eyes. His eyes are now hidden this time. He doesn't really do too much. He has a switch on the bottom. I've already turned it on. If you push his head here, you get this pretty beefy missile that pops out, and that did go with quite a bit more force than the Bumblebee one. And the only other thing they have, because everybody loves them, is a light up gimmick. And that's showing up blue on the camera, but it's green. If I turn it that way, you guys can see it better. Yeah, so that's Megatron. We'll turn that off there. And finally, the last one, Optimus Prime. Here's a pretty cool representation of Optimus Prime. Again, switch on the bottom. Obviously they felt the light up thing was best for the leaders. So let's just get right to his gimmick. You just flip his smokestacks down, and once you flip them all the way down, it lights up the Autobot logo and stuff, which is an okay effect, but it really doesn't feel like Optimus does much of anything. I don't know. I guess you can kind of angle the pipe so the light's not on yet, but I don't know. Optimus just feels really weak to me, like nobody really tried with him, which is kind of disappointing. But what can you do? They're certainly not the McDonald's toys that I grew up with, I guess. But yep, that is the Transformers Prime McDonald's toys. I'll see you guys next time.